Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am super excited to share with you a stamp set that is near and dear to my heart called Music from the Heart. Now, this stamp set speaks to the musician in me. Now, I'm a stamper, but I'm also a musician. My day job is actually as a high school music teacher. And so as soon as I saw this stamp set in the January to June mini catalog, I knew that it was going to come home with me. And I have had so much fun creating cards for it using this set. Now, I have to tell you that this one will never ever leave my studio because it's also really great for creating cards for my Stamping Symphony team. But that's a whole other story. So today we are going to make these 3 cards. I wanted to really mix up the styles to kind of show you some of the versatility of this set and give you some ideas for maybe some more masculine cards, which sometimes can be a challenge. Hi Heather, how are you doing? I am doing good. I am just going to try to pull up. There we are. Nope, that's the wrong video. Trying to pull up my live here on my iPad so I can see everyone who is watching. Where are you? Come on, video. There it is. Okay, there we are. All right. So I did get all of my instruments delivered, Heather. Thank you. It was a rather hectic day. So for those who are just tuning in, we were given permission by the school board today to go into the school for a 15-minute window. So we were assigned a time. There were only 4 of us allowed in the building at a time. And it was a 15-minute dash and grab as many resources as you could to teach, in my case, to teach instrumental music online. So it was a rather interesting day. I also had the chance to grab some instruments for students who don't have instruments at home. So there was a lot of loading equipment into my car. And then I spent the afternoon driving around delivering instruments to students' homes. But the good news is that they all now have an instrument at home, and I'm feeling much better about the idea of teaching band class remotely. So we will see how that goes. Let's see who's joined us. Hi. Oh, Claire's here, and Laura and Betsy. Hi, you guys. Hope you guys are having a good week. So we are going to start with this fun card. So this is really bright and cheerful and happy, which is what we all need right now, right? We all need a little happiness and cheerfulness. And I focused my color scheme for this card on the Brights color family. I am drawn to the Brights family. I absolutely love the colors in it. And so my color scheme for this card is Daffodil Delight, Poppy Parade, Granny Apple Green, Bermuda Bay, and Gorgeous Grape. It's almost a rainbow, right? So I wanted a really fun, happy card that, would make anybody happy. So this is kind of a generic birthday card, right? It could be for just about anybody. Hi, Jill. How are you? How are things in Ohio? Hi, Gail. Hope you are doing well in Oakville. All right, so we're going to start doing some stamping, and this is just a stitched rectangle. It's cut using the Stitched Rectangles dies from Whisper White cardstock. I think this is maybe the 2nd or 3rd largest in the die set, okay? And I'm going to start with my Daffodil Delight ink and my quarter note stamp. Now, I'm going to be using the proper names for all of these stamps because, well, the musician in me won't allow me to just call them music notes because they all have very specific names, and it's important to know their names. That's one of the things my students are working on right now. Well, I'm doing this live. I left an assignment for them, and it has to do with rhythm and note values. So there you go. All right, so there are my quarter notes. Next, I'm going to come in with some Granny Apple Green and my treble clef. Now, this treble clef is extra special because it's got a heart in the middle. So I'm going to ink up my treble clef, and I'm just going to stamp a couple of these. One kind of up here. Oh, my Granny Apple Green's getting a little on the dry side. We're going to have to add a little bit of ink to that. There we go. There are our treble clefs. And then we are going to come in with an 8th note in some Bermuda Bay. Hey, sister. How are ya? Thanks. I love my sweatshirt too, Donna. I have worn this. Like, it is my go-to. It's the perfect weight. It's not too, whoopsie, can't talk and stamp at the same time. Let's see how, oh, not bad. I fixed it. Talking and stamping at the same time is not a good thing, clearly. I should just shut up. Yes, I quite love this sweatshirt. It is quite cozy, but not too cozy. It's not too warm. Yes, absolutely, Heather. Max's piano teacher has her eye on this one. I think she'll probably be ordering it before the catalog goes away. Okay, next we are going to pull in some gorgeous grape. And this is a set of eighth notes, a pair of eighth notes, also known as a titi, for those who are familiar with Kadai time names. You're going to get a music lesson today, whether you wanted one or not. I just can't help myself. Sorry, guys. We'll add another little guy there, and I think I'm going to add one more up here. Just a little touch of purple up there. And then we're going to come in, just our last little touch. I need to take one of these guys off the block because I don't have enough of these little teeny blocks. I'm going to have to order a couple more. I'm going to add my little itsy bitsy heart there, and this is what just makes everything pop. We're going to add some Poppy Parade with this little teeny heart, and it just kind of makes all the colors sing, adding the Poppy Parade. I just love it. We'll do one guy over here. Okay, that's it. Oh no, we need one more. Hang on. We're going to put one more down here somewhere. There we go. Okay, now we're done. Hey Jamie, how are you guys doing? I hope you are okay with all your kiddos. All right, so now we are going, before we do anything else, we are going to punch a heart. So on my sample, I don't know how well it shows on the camera, but I have a heart that is popped up here. And all I did is I actually just punched it right out of this stamped panel. So I'm going to put it in, I basically put it in as far as I could into the punch and then lined up the edge. So I just put my finger at the edge of the punch there so that I kind of made sure it was straight and popped it out. Okay. Super simple. Don't need an extra piece of paper. Then we have a piece of Granny Apple Green cardstock. So this is cut, I cannot remember the measurements because actually I have a ruler right here. Let me tell you the measurements. It is 4 7/16 by 3 1/8. Okay, and those are weird measurements. It's simply so that I could get an equal border on all sides of this die cut. Okay, the die cut has kind of odd measurements, so that's why the measurements for the layer are odd. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue that on. So a little bit of glue all the way around here. And we're going to pop this on. Just like this. Okay. And before we do anything with our little heart, we're actually going to add some twine. So this is from Celebration. This actually sold out in Celebration about, a few weeks before the end of Celebration. And we are going to, I'm just going to use some to add a little bit of sparkle to this card. So all I'm going to do, this is just a length of twine. It's not enough to wrap around this panel, but we don't need enough to wrap around the panel, right? We only need to see what's on the front, right? So I'm basically just going to fold this piece in half and glue dot it to the back of my panel. And then I don't have to worry about wrapping around, and I'm saving twine, right? I'm not wasting it by having it on the back side of the panel where nobody sees it. Oops, that guy came loose. I'll stick that back in there. Okay, just like that. And you can spread them out a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to take some dimensionals and I'm going to pop my heart up. So I'm just going to add a couple of dimensionals right to the background here. I'm almost out of dimensionals on this sheet again. I don't know how these dimensionals keep disappearing. I must be addicted to them or something. All right, and then we're going to pop this right over top of that punched opening. So I'm going to try to get this as straight and lined up as I can. You can also use the stamped images to help guide you to get that lined up. Okay, and then this is going to get layered on our background. So our background panel, just pull out all the rest of my bits here. This is a piece of Bermuda Bay cardstock. It is cut to 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and it's embossed using the Brick and Mortar embossing folder. I actually am going to use this on a couple of cards today. This is one that I don't use nearly enough, but it is so cool. Okay, it's got sort of uneven, not all of the bricks are embossed the same depth, so you get really interesting texture out of this folder. Okay, so then we're going to add a little bit of a vertical element. This is just a little bit of Birthday Bonanza DSP, but it has that Daffodil Delight, which is a great little accent color, and we used it when we were stamping our notes. So we're going to add a little bit of that. This, I believe, is 1.5 inches by 4 inches. And we're going to glue that about an inch from the left edge. Not left edge, right edge. I do know my left from right, honest. Okay, and then by gluing it about an inch over, when you go to glue your panel on, that heart is going to line up right in the middle of that DSP piece. Okay, does that make sense? So we're going to go ahead and glue this on flat. I do have my fast fuse and I am going to use that. Yes, I am bringing out my precious fast fuse. We are in heavy rationing mode with fast fuse right now. We are down to the last couple of refills and I am going to cry when the last one is used. I'm hoping I can make it last until the new catalog comes out, and hopefully there is some new adhesive in there. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue this on. I'm gluing it right flat on the front. And again, I'm just looking at this to try to center it on my DSP panel. Just like that. Okay. And then we have a beautiful purple gorgeous grape card base. I love this shade of purple. It is 5.5 by 8.5 and it's scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Oh, it's warmer. It's only 0 degrees. Well, Debbie, that is an improvement over last week. Yeah, I won't tell you that it was 14 here today. But if it's any consolation, it's going to get a whole lot colder next week. So, yeah, we'll be feeling your pain. Maybe not quite as cold as you guys, but it's going to be colder. Hey, Leith, how are ya? Okay, so I folded my card base in half along the score line, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue that panel right onto the front. So again, we'll add some precious fast fuse and pop that onto the front, just like that. Okay, and then I have a little twine bow. This was pre-tied. This is left over from a class that I did a while back. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a glue dot to the knot. So I'm just kind of rolling a glue dot into, basically folding it in half. And then I'm going to pop that right at the top of the heart there, just like that. Okay. All right. Now we need to do our sentiment. So I want to remind everybody that it is totally okay to stamp your sentiments on colored cardstock. We tend to always stamp our sentiments on white cardstock, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes it's fun to add a little splash of color to our sentiments. Hey, Huda, how are you doing today? So what I'm going to do here, I have just a couple of scraps. This is the Gorgeous Grape, and this is Bermuda Bay. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp my happy birthday once on each of those scraps. I'm stamping it just in Memento Black. It doesn't matter what type of black you use. It doesn't even necessarily have to be black, but just something that's going to be dark enough to show up against on that dark color. And then I am just going to take my snips and I'm going to cut out each word. Like, I am not being super careful about trying to get these straight or even. This is supposed to be sort of a hodgepodgey kind of look with all my random stamps and my music notes. So it is totally okay to have a hand cut sort of down and dirty sentiment. Like, nothing fancy, okay? And then we're just going to pop these onto our heart. And I'm going to purposely do these crooked because, well, it can be hard to get things straight, especially if you haven't cut these perfectly straight. If you were to try and glue these on straight, it would really be obvious that they are not cut straight. However, if we cut them a little bit cockeyed, or sorry, mount them a little bit cockeyed, it doesn't matter if they're cut crooked because nobody will notice. It's all part of the look. Okay, so we're going to do our happy and our birthday. We'll tuck these little guys in behind, and there we go. Done and done. Super cute. Okay, now I'll show you on the inside of my sample what I did. This is a sentiment from a celebration set that is done, but if you have it, it's called Sending You Thoughts, I think. And it's got some great sentiments in it, but I also added just another little collage of music notes and treble clefs for the music lover. Okay, all right, so that is number 1, done and done. We're gonna get some stuff out of the way. I need this one still, but I don't need these. We're gonna get them out of the way. And we're gonna get those out of the way. We're gonna keep the black out. And away we go. All right, moving on to number 2. Number 2 is this one. Now, I designed this with my wonderful husband in mind. He is a collector of vinyl albums. So we have, I don't even want to know how many albums in our basement, and his collection is ever growing. And so I actually designed this with him in mind for a birthday card. And I really, really liked it. So I ended up offering it a couple of classes this winter. But this is a really fun and easy card to make. Like there's nothing to it. But it is great for anybody who's of the same vintage as my husband and I, shall we say, and who remembers vinyl records. Well, vinyl records are making a comeback, right? So they could actually be for younger people too. All right, so first thing we're going to do is assemble our records. I'm going to set this aside. Hey, Kelly, how are you doing? I do love this stamp set very much. It is one that will live in my studio forever. So what I have here are basic black circles. I used a retired punch. It's 1 3/8 inch circle. There is a die that is about the same size as this. So you could totally die cut these, but because I was die cutting a whole bunch in preparation for classes, I used my retired punch. Okay. All right. Hey, Martine, how are you doing? Oh, Heather, your son collects vinyl. Awesome. It's good to know that there are still people around who enjoy vinyl records. Now, these little circles are 1/2 inch, okay? So they're punched with a 1/2 inch circle punch. And all I'm doing is gluing a little circle in the center of each one of my larger circles. And again, I've used almost the exact same color palette as I did on the last card. The only addition is this one, which is Mango Melody. Okay, so again, sticking with the Brights family. I find the Brights are kind of what people go to initially when they first take a look at our catalog, and they're starting to think about what inks that they want to start to invest in. Brights tend to be the ones that people gravitate to. Just I think because they kind of have your basic primary colors. So the cool thing is, and for those of you who remember vinyl records, is the labels were always really colorful. Even as we were kind of going through some of my husband's records, the labels, and they're just fun. They're always really bright and colorful and decorative. And so I thought, well, how easy would it be to replicate those with paper? So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to glue this last guy down, and you'll notice I'm not really like worrying about perfectly centering these. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Okay, so there are our records almost. Now we need to punch some holes because records aren't records unless we have a hole in the middle. Now you're going to need some kind of hole punch for this. This is an old retired Stampin' Up hole punch. And again, I'm just going to eyeball these. They may or may not be perfectly centered. It is not really a huge big deal. I want to get them close, but really, if they're not perfect, it's not the end of the world. I suppose I could if I really wanted to measure them, but I really don't want to. So there we go. We're going to have approximate rather than precise. And for those of you who are perfectionists and want to measure, go right ahead. I will not be offended if you don't like my not perfectly centered records. Oh, I missed one. Forgot the gorgeous grape. Oh, absolutely steal the idea, Heather. That's why I do these videos. I love it when people case my cards. It's great. It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something that inspires people. All right, so we'll set our records aside for a couple minutes, and we are going to do a little bit of stamping. This piece of cardstock is 3.5 by 5, I think. 3.5 by 4 3/4. 3.5 by 4 3/4 Whisper White cardstock. And we are going to stamp both our guitar and our You Rock. Now, I have to explain how this guitar works. There is no guitar stamp. Let me show you. There is no guitar stamp in this stamp set, right? Not at all. However, we can combine the treble clef and the neck of the guitar here to create an actual guitar, which I think is just ingenious. This is actually a $1 million seller stamp set. Dawn Olszewski is a million achiever. She has more than $1 million now in career sales with Stampin' Up. And one of the perks of hitting your $1 million is getting to design your own stamp set. So you can see that little icon at the bottom there. That indicates that it's a $1 Million Achiever set. And this was her set. She is a music lover as well. And she designed this set on her visit to the home office to celebrate her $1 million. So we're going to stamp our treble clef in the Memento Black. And then I'm going to ink up the neck of my guitar. And you're going to see how this is going to line up. So I'm going to line up this part here with the bend in the treble clef here. And then the bottom part is going to line up down here. Can you see how that's going to go? And I have learned from experience, when you're doing this, you want to actually overlap it just a little bit. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Instant guitar. So, so cool. Love it. Okay, we're also going to stamp our U Rock now that I put the ink away. So we're going to stamp our U Rock just to the right of our guitar, like that. Okay. And then we're going to color our guitar. So I used Poppy Parade blends, both the light and the dark. I'm going to color the whole guitar in the light, and then I'm going to go back and darken the heart with the dark. Okay. So we will just really quick. Now you could certainly shade this and blend it if you wanted to. I am not going to take the time to do that, just because you guys don't need to watch me do that. So I'm coloring the whole thing with my light. I don't really need to be that careful down here because I'm coloring the whole thing. I'm trying to be really careful and not thinking too hard. There we go. Really quick and dirty there. Okay. And then we're going to come back, and with the dark, we're going to go over the heart in the middle. Okay. And that's just going to emphasize that heart a little bit. Like that. Not fun? So fun. All right. That is all the stamping. The rest of this is just arranging our records. So I kind of had some going off the top. So what we're going to do is actually glue these on first, and then we're going to play around. We're going to come back and trim off anything that has excess. So we'll kind of put that one in the corner there. So they're going to kind of go like that. Some of these are going to get glued flat, and some of them are going to get popped up. That's going to add a little bit of interest to this as well. So when you're gluing these down, the easiest way to do it is with the liquid glue, because then it gives you that little bit of wiggle time to get them exactly where you want them. I need some more dimensionals. We're going to add a couple to this guy here. We'll trim the edges for now. The other thing, when you're doing your little collage here, you want to kind of mix up. Some of them you want to have touching. Some of them you kind of want to have standing off by themselves. Again, it's supposed to look random, but planned random, if that makes any sense. You want to think about where you're actually sticking these down. So we'll kind of put one up here. Oh, that looks like Mickey Mouse ears. That's a little too close. Let's move that up. We don't want Mickey Mouse ears. Not that there's anything wrong with Mickey Mouse ears, but that's not the look we're going for here. We'll move that one up there like that. Okay. And then we're going to add a green one down here. You like that card, do you, Martine? I'm glad you like it. And then we'll add a little bit of this guy down here. And then we're going to pop one of these up down here. These are super quick and easy to make. What takes the longest is actually punching out all the circles. Honestly, once you get all of that done, it's pretty quick to put this guy together. And we'll add this one kind of down here. Okay, so now that these are all glued on, now I can flip my card over and trim off the excess. Now this is going to be a little bit harder to cut than normal because we've got a couple of layers and we've got some dimensional and whatnot there. But just take your time. You're using the edge of the card here as your guide to trim it. Okay, and then there's your record. Isn't that cool? And we'll just trim this guy off. I could also use my mini trimmer, but it is way over on the other side of the room and I'm here. So scissors it is. So we'll just trim these guys nice and tidy. And there we go. Isn't that fun? So easy. All right, so now we're ready to layer this. This is a piece of Poppy Parade. So this was 3 3/4 by, 3.5 by 4 3/4. So this is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. Okay, so it's 1/8 of an inch larger. We're gonna layer that on there like that. And we'll add that right on there. And again, using the Tombow gives us that time to get it perfectly centered. Okay, and then I have a piece of Whisper white cardstock. This is our background. Again, I've embossed it using that brick and mortar embossing folder. This is a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of cardstock. And we are going to glue our panel on just like that. So we're just going to see a little bit of that white embossed pattern peeking out. So we will add a little bit of fast fuse here. And we're going to pop that right in the center and attempt to get it straight-ish. There we go. Okay, and then we have a card base here. It is 5.5 by 8.5 inches, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. I know, Debbie, isn't it so cool the way they designed those two stamps to work together to make a guitar? I love it. I love the fact that you can use just the treble clef, or you can add the neck to make a guitar. So that is going to get glued onto the front of our card. So again, we'll add a little bit of adhesive and we'll pop that on just like that. Okay, and then the last touch, did I lose my, nope, I didn't lose my little gold star, is to add just a little bit of a star. I kind of thought like rock star, fun to do a little bit of a silver, touch of silver. So I'm going to add just a little titch of, whoa, that might be too much, little titch of Tombow there. And we're just going to pop that just sort of like that. There we go. Isn't that fun? So fun. I love it. Okay, that's number 2. Done and done. Moving right along. Gotta clean my mess again. Make sure I'm not putting away something that I need. I do not need Memento anymore, so I'll get rid of that as well. And we're gonna bring in number 3. Now this one is a totally different look. So I wanted to show you and draw to your attention, because at first I didn't even notice them, that there are some adorable little bird stamps in this stamp set. See these little guys here? They are so cute. And again, I mentioned that this stamp set is perfect for my Stamping Symphony. Well, my Stamping Symphony logo actually has birds in it. So this set, like seriously, was made for me and for my team. I gotta say, it's the perfect set. So we are going to put together this one. This, I wanted to show you, totally different color scheme, more muted colors, more masculine kind of focus. And I wanted to show you that it's not just about the music notes, as much as the music notes are great. Okay. All right. Super easy, Deb. It is super, super easy. All right. So we're going to start with our white piece here. So this is just Whisper white cardstock, die cut using the stitched rectangles again. I use those dies a lot, in case you hadn't noticed. Between those and the scallop rectangles, those are kind of my go-tos right now. So this is, I think it might be the 4th largest. I can't remember. I can give you the dimensions. It is 2 5/8 by 4. 2 5/8 by 4. Okay, so that's the size. And we're going to use the staff stamp. So this is included in the stamp set. Okay, this is our color scheme for this set. So Old Olive, Pretty Peacock, Night of Navy, and Basic Gray. So I thought that was a really great masculine color scheme. So we're going to start with our Basic Gray and stamp our staff lines, or staves if you were wanting to be grammatically correct. And really important with this to get them straight. So this is where you want to use your grid paper to maximum advantage. Okay, so I am going to stamp the middle one first, and I'm going to use my grid lines to help me get that straight. I'm not really worrying about getting it perfectly in the middle. I'm just more interested in making sure that it is straight. So then we're going to do our top one, and we're going to do our bottom one. Okay, so there are 3 sets of staff lines. And again, I wasn't worried about spacing them perfectly. It doesn't really matter. And then we're going to stamp some adorable little birds. So we have 3 birds in this set. There's one that's kind of flying, one that's sort of perched standing up, and this one, it looks like he's about to take off. So I'm going to use a different color ink for each one. I'm going to start with our little guy that's perched. So this is Pretty Peacock. And I'm going to stamp 1 in each color on each staff. Whoopsie, make sure that that's fully inked. And the cool thing is, because these are photopolymer, I can see where I'm stamping so that I make sure that he's sitting right on one of the lines. And honestly, if you didn't know this was supposed to be a staff, it just kind of looks like birds on a wire, right? It doesn't really necessarily have to be music notes. All right, next we're going to bring in our Old Olive. And we're going to do our upright bird. My Old Olive pad's getting a little on the dry side, so these guys are not going to be quite as dark as the other ones, but that's okay. And so I'm doing 1 on each staff. I'll put 1 down here. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my Night of Navy. Oh, you do have that stamp set, do you, Debbie? It is a great set. Honestly, it is. Well, I'm biased, but honestly, even if you are not a musician or a music lover, there are so many possibilities with this set, really and truly. So we're going to add a couple of these little guys. And we'll do 1 up here. Like these guys are having a conversation. Okay, so there are our sweet little birds. Aren't they cute? Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so we're gonna layer this die cut rectangle on an Old Olive rectangle. Again, this is cut 1/8 inch larger than this rectangle was. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue that with just a little bit of Tombow. And we'll pop that onto there. Just like that. And we'll set that aside for a sec, and then we're going to stamp our sentiment. So I have here just a 1/2 inch wide strip. This is just a piece of scrap, and I'm going to stamp my Just a Note in Night of Navy ink on that little scrap. Move this down so I can actually see what I'm doing. There we go. And we're going to trim 1 end into a pennant, so I'm going to use my tailored tag trick for that one. So we'll just slide this in and then back it off a touch and pop it in there. And then the other end I'm just going to trim with my snips. So I want to leave a little bit of space because I'm going to add my little clip. So I want to make sure that I have room for that. Okay. And that is going to go on between these 2 staves here. Okay. And I want to make sure it's flush with the edge, but I'm actually going to pop it up. So we're going to use just a little bit of the edge. Hi, Alfie. How are you doing? Hope you are keeping well and keeping busy as you are socially distancing. So we're going to pop that on. And again, I want to make sure that, I can't do this lying down, I can't see what I'm doing. I want to make sure that this edge is going to come flush with, I might have to trim a little bit, it's too long, it's okay. I want to make sure this is on straight, number 1. Then I'm just going to flip this over and trim out the excess. Just like that. Okay. Then we have one of these cute little library clips. These are in the annual catalog. They come in a package with both silver and white. So we're just going to clip this little guy onto our little sentiment strip like that. Okay, so it looks like it's kind of clipped on there. Then we are going to put together the background. So I'll set this aside for a minute. So here I have a piece of Woven Threads DSP. So this is from the annual catalog. This was actually a Celebration freebie during the 3rd release. So the last week of Celebration, this was an option that you could redeem for free during Celebration. So I love this paper. It is one of my very favorites. I love the textures and the patterns in it, and I love the colors. It has all of this year's ink colors in it. Now, the other thing is, this year's. These ink colors are sticking around for another year, which is a good thing because I'm going to cry when Pretty Peacock goes away. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and layer that. So this is cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. This is a piece of Old Olive cardstock cut to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, so again, I'm going to have that narrow little border all the way around. And I'm going to use some Tombow to glue that down so I get the wiggle time to get it centered. So we'll just pop this on here and make sure that that is well centered, okay? And then here I have a piece of Night of Navy cardstock. This is 1.5 by 4 inches, okay? And I've embossed it using the Mosaic embossing folder, which again, just adds really cool texture. When it's on a little piece like this, you don't see the full mosaic effect, but you get just really fun texture that I thought worked really nicely with the texture in the DSP. Okay, so now this I'm going to glue on, but I want to make sure that when I glue it so that when I put this panel on, the sentiment is centered on the navy. Okay, so I just kind of want to get an idea of how high that needs to go. And then again, I'm going to use my grid paper to help me. So I need to line it up with that line when I glue it. Okay, so I'm going to keep my finger there just so that I don't forget that. And we're going to add a little bit of Tombow to that. And we're going to pop this on so that it lines up just like that. Now I've cut this 1/8 of an inch longer than I should have, but that's okay. This is actually 4 1/8. It should be 4 inches, but it totally works because it lines up with that one. So it's okay. It's all right. Sometimes mismeasurements are happy accidents. Okay, so then this piece is going to go on with some dimensionals again. And I'm just going to use the edge pieces here. I love using the edge pieces from the sheets of dimensionals when I'm gluing large panels like this because it's easy, right? There's not as many little backing papers to peel off, and I can just pop them into place really, really quickly. So we're going to add a little guy there, and I'm going to add just a little bit up here. And we'll get rid of all of these. Look at that. I used up almost the entire sheet of dimensionals. Waste not, want not. Hey, Morella, how are you doing? Hey, Jen. How are you guys? I hope you are keeping well. So we're going to pop this on in the center. So I'm centering it side to side and top to bottom. And again, I want to just make sure that this is centered on that blue panel. Okay, just like that. And then we have here a Night of Navy card base. It is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and it's scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So I will fold in half along my score line and add a little bit of fast fuse. And we're going to pop that right onto the front of our card, just like that. Now our last little touch is to add a little twine bow. I can't let you go without showing you how to tie a bow. So here we go. This is from the Country Club Twine combo pack. It comes in 4 colors. Now right now I think it's back ordered, but there are more coming in stock. And so I'm going to show you how I do my little twine bow. So I basically am just making a loop. Okay, I'm right-handed, so I'm making that loop in my right hand. Then I've got a tail here. I might make that a little bit longer. And then I've got a tail here. I'm going to take and wrap that tail around with my left hand. Okay, so I'm coming around from the front and then bringing it through. And that gives you a cute little bow that doesn't have a big bulky knot. Okay, if I tried to do the bunny ears bow like I do with my ribbon, my knot would be quite bulky in the middle, which is not so nice, especially with twine that's a little bit heavier like this. Okay, so I'm going to just trim off my tails here. And then I'm going to take a glue dot and fold it in half and press the knot of the bow into that glue dot. And then we're going to just press it onto that little clip like that. Looks like I've tied it around the clip, but nope, it's a cheater way to do it. I do not like wrapping things around and tying them. It's so tricky and fussy. This is just way easier. And then I'm going to just fray the ends of the twine a little bit. And there we go. Done and done. Isn't that cute? Super, super cute, and a little bit different take on this set, and a little bit more masculine. So I'm actually sending out an awful lot of cards to men who live alone and who are struggling a little bit right now. And so I was thinking I need some more masculine cards to mail out. So let me just pull back all of the cards we made today. You can see them all together. So here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Get my mess out of the way. There you are. There are our three cards. You like those? Hi, Krista. You're just late to the party. I'm just wrapping up. I hope you go back and watch the replay there, Krista. Okay, you guys, that is it for me this week. I am not going to be live on Friday because Friday is Good Friday, which is a very important day for our family. So we are going to be celebrating Good Friday together. So no Friday Live this week, but I will for sure be back next Tuesday with another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful Easter. Bye for now.